In this final set of slides for Book 2 of On the Social Contract, we'll focus on chapters 9 and 10. Rousseau says at the beginning of chapter 9, "The more the social bond extends, the looser it becomes, and in general, a small state is proportionately stronger than a larger one." So it's good for us to ask, well, why is this so? Rousseau gives us several reasons. First, it's really difficult to govern over great distances. Second, large states can require multiple levels of government, and that can be burdensome. Each of these multiple levels of government places burdens on the people. We've got multiple levels of government in our own country. Think, for example, of local, state, and federal governments. Third, large states mean distance between the people and their leaders, okay? And even among the people themselves. Think about it. How strong of a tie to their leaders do people in large countries feel? What about their ties to their fellow citizens? You can consult your own experience. What connections do you feel to our leaders in Washington, D.C., even to the ones that represent your home state? And what connections do you have with others from our country? For example, if you're from Indiana, what connections do you feel with people from, say, Mississippi? Finally, a state that is too large may find that making suitable laws is difficult. What works in one region of the country might not work at all in another. And again, think of our own experience of the U.S. Okay? Laws that work very well for New York might not work well at all for Montana. In chapter 10, Rousseau gives us two ways of measuring the size of the body politic, or state. One is to measure the size of its territory. The other is to count the number of its people. There needs to be a balance between these if the state is to be governed well, to be able to provide for itself, and to be able to defend itself. If there are more people than the land can support, the state may become dependent on its neighbors in order to supply its people's needs. It may even have to engage in an offensive war in order to support the people. On the other hand, if there are too few people inhabiting the land, then, Rousseau says, its defense is onerous, its cultivation inadequate, and its yield surplus. This is the proximate cause of defensive wars. Now, as might be expected, there's no one formula for determining the correct balance between the size of the territory and the population. Much will depend on what the people are like and on the natural resources available. Our next set of slides will move us into the first part of Book 3, and will focus on the government and its members.